What's up? Walking to work. Walking on the sidewalk. My bike. Because I don't have headlights and I don't have any lights. B, I'm on the wrong side, as you see. So I can't ride on this bike on this. So safe for option. Walking the sidewalk with my bike. That's the way it works. Or you can freeze dry. Damn, this phone can see better than I can. Yeah, walking OFD or the freeze dry. Somewhere up here. Once we start seeing lights, well, traffic lights, it's basically there on the left side. Been working there about almost I've been employed there for about almost 2 months. I started on October 14th, so you can guess on the 14th it would be officially a 2-month marking for being employed there. It's pretty fun, actually, but downside is I'm a temporary. With the work of freeze dry, they tend to not hire actual employees, but they tend to go hire temporary employees from a place called Select Temp. What that means, it's pretty much about 80 or 75% of the workers here are employed through Select Temp. They're all temporaries. It's only a few actually employed people there. It's because OFD wants to save costs on like paying insurance and stuff. As well, there's not really any point being hired here actually, because temporary employees make the same amount as an actual employee would. So you get employed just means you had to pay basically for a bunch of benefits. Then compare what you're paying for Select Temp. So to me, I don't see any need for that. And again, they rarely hire. It's also weird is, so if they have QAs, quality assurance people, white coats. I mean, supervisors, managers, QAs all wear white coats, but to become a QA here, you actually are not allowed to be employed there. You can't be employed there to become a QA. That's something that they don't do. So, if you're working here and you have like a bachelor's degree, whoever needs to be a QA, or while you're employed here, you can't become a QA. They hire outside, basically. Which is weird, somewhat stupid, but it's just them. The QAs here are amazing. You got fun people. They ain't hard on you or anything. Maybe some. I probably have not met them, but QAs I've seen pretty dang amazing. Pretty relaxed actually. It's great. But OFD for me isn't that great. It's because, it's just something I did not expect myself to be working at. When I graduated high school, I'm 18, so I graduated this month in June. And before, I would say months before I was going to graduate, I had plans to attend the community college, LBCC, and LCC. Oh yeah, LCC. Okay, getting confused because LCC is in Eugene Springfield, Lane Community College. But here in Albany, we have LBCC, Lynn Benton Community College. I got confused, but I was going to try and get to LCC through some scholarships and maybe a loan and see where that took me. Well, basically, I would like to say a month, and basically somewhere in June or a month before, all that changed when I found out my parents wanted to move basically after my graduation, like after the same night. They wanted to move to Hermiston. I barely ever been to Eastern Oregon. I never really lived there, and any time I actually been to Eastern Oregon, only be to see my uncle. And I haven't been there in a long time. So when I found out they wanted to move to Hermiston, I was pretty pissed because finally got settled here. I felt like every time we got settled inside in a town, we'd always move as soon as I finally get settled in, finding liking the place. It happened with Cottage Grove. It was a great place. Moved there. The high school and middle school were all great. The high school was amazing. When I first saw the high school, I was a middle schooler. Well, I actually went to Cottage Grove for elementary for a grade, or not even a grade, for a few months. Then we moved back to Sweet Home, where I completed Foster Elementary. But in that time, when we always passed by Cottage Grove High School, I always assumed it was a college or some sort, because it was beautiful. It was amazing looking. And when I finally got to go into high school, it shocked me even more. The lunch there was great. The people there were fun. I had a science teacher, Mr. Lindstrom. He was the best science teacher. He made everything fun. He even had a brother here. Sorry, I can't remember his name. But he taught biology. Mr. Buell. I think his name was Mr. Buell. Yeah. And he was the exact same type of funniness his brother, Mr. Lindstrom, had. They were the best teachers. And especially when I started history class there, we had this teacher, Mr. Clark, and fucking amazing. We played games, like, I think, a communist game where we had to catch the spy, communist spy and stuff. So we were given cards. One of them had a red dot, and so we had to vote out who was the spy, and the spy had to basically convince everyone he was not the spy. That was the goal of the game. It was fun. I only spent like freshman, sophomore until shit happened in Cottage Grove, because we were staying with the family. And we thought it would be permanent or something that we go through when we graduate high school. Nope. We moved out of Cottage Grove because for some reason my dad, he is really that petty to where when we were blamed for breaking a stove by the lady we were living with, we called her Ma. She was no relation, but she accused us of breaking a knob off the stove. And so when Dad found out that, he decided to get all mopey and shit. He decided to basically tell us we're no longer allowed to go in the kitchen, and that we would be eating inside of a trailer that we had outside. And he was, some reason, I guess he thought he was making a point. To the point where he got so pissed. We basically moved out. And then we moved to Springfield. I didn't like Springfield originally. I didn't like big towns. I like Cottage Grove because it was a biking, basically haven. There was a bike path led straight to Walmart. We walked it, boom, we'll be at Walmart. But, and again, as well, the high school, I was kind of assuming Springfield High School would be great, but when I first saw it, I was actually resentful towards it. I did not see it as a high school, I saw it as a prison. And when I first saw it, it kind of made me believe that it used to be a prison, that it was meant to be built as a prison. I just, disappointed. The food there was not that great compared to Cottage Grove, where I felt like they didn't put any effort in it. They were cutting corners. But, junior, senior year, I kind of grew into it. Sucks though, there was no cooking class because they took that out during COVID. And I was taking a cooking class in Cottage Grove. I was meant to take it in junior year and as well forensic science, but that changed when we moved to Springfield. I was forced to retake basically chemistry. When that was embarrassing for me because I was a junior and chemistry was meant for a sophomore. So it made it look like I was a fucking looks like I got held back. I didn't. Mr. Lynch, the science teacher, his class was called physical science. And how he did it was he moved our class, he mixed physics and chemistry. Well, he mixed it in units, and that qualified. And as well, Cottage Grove was trimester high school, and Springfield was a semester. So our credits, transferred there differently, but still we were on track. But they still decided not to count my science class, physical science, as completing chemistry as well. So it was basically them embarrassing me. I passed chemistry. Everything went well. I finally got liking to Springfield, antique shop called Antique Peddlers. I always frequented because I liked looking at what they had. I liked the antique shops. And it was my favorite spot to hang out at. Mostly maybe after school. I would actually go. Or after lunch. During lunch. Then, we were graduating. We were on track to graduate. Of course, we did graduate. But what happened was, my dad, he wanted to move to Hermiston. My stepmom had a job there. She could go. She works at Clean Homes, and there was one in Hermiston. So they wanted to move, basically on the night of our graduation after. And the plans I had before, setting myself up for success in Springfield and Eugene, all were gone. Just snuffed out in an instant after I heard those words that they're moving to Hermiston. I was given to a choice: move to Hermiston, my dad and stepmom, or live with my grandparents and mom in Sweet Home, and wait for my mom to move to Albany and move in with her. I chose to go with my dad and stepmom. I only spent, I think, a week in there. I was unemployed. I couldn't find a job. And I was depressed. I called my mom crying to please pick me up and take me back to Sweet Home because I didn't know anyone in Eastern Oregon. I knew nobody. My parents, I had no friends. My brother, he had a girlfriend. He decided to live with one of his friends for a time being until he found a trailer. And he did. But basically, I never saw myself. That's basically it. Bye.